Part 19. My Love Simulation with Them. Author, Chiudeo Udaziiwe. Chapter 182. Shinjo Akane. Shinjo Akane also breathed a sigh of relief. This person finally understood. It's true that she keeps reminding her. In other words, Shinjo-san is very free on the day of the Oka festival, so you want to invite me to go to the Oka festival with you, right? No. Is the relationship between primary and secondary reversed? Are you here to invite me? The corners of Akane Shinjo's mouth twitched. But Nangxiang had already said this before, and she did have that meaning in her words just now. So Akane Shinjo simply stopped struggling here. But. Sorry, Shinjo-san, I don't know if I have any other reservations on the day of the Oka festival, so please let me think about it. Nangxiang she thought for a while and answered, then, that's it for now. If I don't have anything else to do, I'll hang up first. Snap. The call is hung up. The conversation between the two ended. Akane Shinjo stared blankly at the phone for a long time, and then murmured in disbelief. Why did it end up in a situation where I invited that guy, and then the guy said he would consider it? Shouldn't Nangxiang invite her from the beginning? Why did it happen that she invited Nangxiang? Why did Nangxiang say everything she wanted to say? Let's take a step back. Even when she invited Nangxiang, shouldn't Nangxiang she also be grateful for the promise? Why is it just I'll think about it in the end? Akane Shinjo stayed for a long time. Then he came to his senses. He threw himself onto the soft bed and kicked his legs wrapped in black socks randomly. That guy. Shinjo Akane, whose head was buried in the quilt, made a sound of gnashing her teeth. Chapter 152. Everything comes together at the Oka festival, 4,100 words. After hanging up the call with Akane Shinjo, Nango walked out of the toilet of the Stars Performance Hall. He happened to go to the toilet and took care of Akane Shinjo's matter. While walking towards the backstage lounge, Nangxiang thought. In this case, during the 2 days of the Oka festival, apart from helping to recite the narration of The Monster in the Heart, it seems that there is nothing else to do. Thinking about it? It seems like I have nothing to do during the whole Oka festival. When I was in Nangxiang, I suddenly felt energetic. Nice. He is not a robot, the kind that can work indefinitely. Whether you are doing things or being a person, you must be relaxed and relaxed. It was rare to have so much free time during the Oka festival, so Nangxiang she naturally felt in a good mood. Well, in short, during the 2 days of the Oka festival, in addition to finding time to accompany Miss Shinjo to visit the Oka festival, let's study and relax. Recently, I have been busy with various things, and my time for study and entertainment has been compressed. That's 1 hour a day. Yes. When I was in Nangxiang, my family bought several sets of examination syllabus. It's just that I've been busy with various things recently. He has never written anything about the Oka School magazine, Shinjo Akane's simulation, or the ending of the band tutoring program. Similarly, he hadn't heard the simulator's prompt "Your specialty learning has been slightly improved" for a long time. It's time to take advantage of this Oka festival to make good use of these syllabus questions and relax. The thought of getting some rest cheered up Nangxiang shi, and he stretched out his hand to open the door to the lounge of the Stars exhibition hall. But before he stepped into it, he heard the sound coming from it. Hey? Kita-chan and Little Lonely are going to open a maid and butler cafe for the Oka festival? I'm really looking forward to it. The one who made such a sound was the envious IDC Hunka. Your Oka High School is really good, but our Shimokitazawa is completely different. There are only a few activities allowed for each class every year, and they are very boring. There is actually a reason why she said this. In Japan, due to the emphasis on the autonomy of high school students, each class has the right to organize its own activities during cultural festivals. In fact, 2 weeks in advance is basically a process of holding a class meeting, soliciting opinions, and conducting voting. The activity with the most votes is designated as the class cultural festival activity. However, many of them are similar to the Shimokitazawa High School where Yamada Ryo and Ichiki Hyoka attend. Due to the surrounding residential areas and various reasons, the use of electrical appliances and firearms is not allowed, so things like takoyaki, octopus dumplings, and fried noodle shops, which are often seen in Japanese cartoons, are not allowed to appear at the school festival. In comparison, Oka High School is much more liberal. Not only does it allow students to move freely, but it also allows students to freely use the gymnasium as a stage for cultural festivals. Even off-campus organizations such as the band are allowed to perform on stage. But to be honest, Nangxiang wished that the Oka festival would be a little more lifeless. After all, both the preparation for the event and the setting up of the cultural festival stage are very troublesome and tiring. He was long past the age to be interested in these things. Similarly, Nango Toki, who had not had much interest in the Oka festival to begin with, had the good sense not to join in the discussion among the band girls. Because he always felt that if he joined their discussion, things would become particularly troublesome. In order not to disrupt his relaxation plan for the Oka festival, Nangxiang simply shut up and sat down, silently correcting the test papers of the few of them. But obviously, even if Nangxiang didn't take the initiative to join the discussion, he still couldn't escape being forced to join the topic in the end. White fingers stretched out from the side. He poked the side of Nangxiang's face. At the same time, it was Yamada Ryo's lazy voice, what is your class's cultural festival activity? Nangxiang. To be honest, Nangxiang didn't want to answer this question. Because he felt that as long as he answered, things would become troublesome. But Ms. Yamada asked after all, and it would indeed be rude not to answer. So Nangxiang thought for a while and said as concisely as possible without causing trouble, dessert like chocolate banana. And that's when his words came out. The eyes of Hikaru Itaki and Ikuyo Kita lit up next to them. Chocolate banana? Hey, I'm so curious. The chocolate banana made by Nango-san will definitely be delicious. Nangxiang. Take a look. Nangxiang shook his head silently. This was the main reason why he was unwilling to join the discussion. After all, if you follow the steps of this conversation, the next step will be to ask him when he is on duty, and then after the Oka festival, the band will form a group and go to his place to sign in and clock in. This is something Nango Toki, who wants to spend the Oka festival in a relaxed manner, is absolutely not willing to see. But since he had already spoken, he was naturally prepared. I saw Nangxiang let out a little breath, and then said in a relaxed tone, compared with chocolate bananas, don't you have to prepare a band performance that day? Or are you already ready? Good. He didn't forget to wrap up the event where the band would still be performing. Just use this to change the subject. Ah, that's true. As expected, the next development was exactly what Nangxiang expected. Hearing him mention the end of the band's performance, Ichiki Hikaru, Kita Ikuyo, and Goto Kazuri turned their attention away from the chocolate bananas and discussed what they needed to prepare on the day of the end of the band's performance. Very good. Great. Just go talk about playing. I'm sorry, but I wanted to relax a bit on the day of the Oka festival. Nangxiang was secretly relieved and was about to continue correcting a few people's papers. Then, speaking of which, after the performance is over, I want to eat cheese chocolate bananas, and I think there are a lot of fun things. Then I want Ashi to take me to go shopping. Yamada Ryo, who had been keeping his face silent, suddenly spoke at this time. Her moist eyes and cherry pink lips faced Nangxiang. Nangxiang took a breath of cold air. He couldn't help but look at Yamada Ryo. No, Miss Yamada, can you stop talking? If you don't speak, I won't treat you as mute. And you know there's a lot of ambiguity in what you're saying? No, no, no. That's not what matters now. The most important thing now is to change the topic again and protect the free time during the Oka festival. He hasn't even completed the set of test outlines he has at home yet. And they are all brand new products that cost a lot of money to buy. Thinking of this, Nang Xiangxi was about to speak. Not bad. I just wanted to reward myself after the performance. Ichiki Hunka's face was full of excitement. Our little test just happened to be over. It would be nice to go to the Oka festival and have some fun. Ah, me too. Go to Kazuriya raised his palm slightly, his delicate and beautiful face hidden under the bangs flushed. Visit the Oka festival with Nangoshi. Although I am with everyone, it feels very good. Nan Xiangxi's mouth twitched as he was about to speak. No, everyone. Akuma Kita stood up with a serious expression. We have been talking to ourselves for so long, but what if Nang Xiang Sr. doesn't want to? Then she turned her head and said with a considerate face, it's okay, Senior Nang Xiang, it doesn't matter even if you don't want to, none of us will care. My love simulation with them. Author, Chiu Dao Yu de Zi Wei. Chapter 183. Nang Xiangxi. Looking at Kita Ikuyo with a caring and considerate face, Nang Xiang rubbed his eyebrows. If Ms. Yamada made a move, and Hikaru Itaki and Ichisato go to express their opinions, then Ms. Kita completely blocked his escape route. Under such circumstances, how could he have the nerve to say his refusal? The chocolate used to make chocolate bananas is the kind of cheap stuff you can buy in the market. The bananas are also very ordinary bananas, nothing fancy, and they are also very expensive. To be honest, I don't recommend that you take advantage of them. Nang Xiangxi made a final struggle. Time. Pulling on Nang Xiangxi's cuffs. What's the matter? Miss Yamada. My father just gave me this month's pocket money at the end of the month. I will leave some money to eat your chocolate bananas. It will be okay even if I am taken advantage of. Thank you so much, Ms. Yamada. Nang Xiang looked at Ryo Yamada with a very meaningful look, and spoke with a strong emphasis on the pronunciation of the bites. No need to thank me so much, she. Ryo Yamada turned his head to the other side in embarrassment. Never mind. Look at Yamada Ryo's expression. Nang Xiangxi simply gave up the struggle. Things have developed to this point, and it would be inappropriate to find excuses to refuse. And taking them around the Oka festival is not a particularly troublesome matter. But if you include the girls who ended the band, plus we have a promise to accompany Shinjo to the Oka festival. Nang Xiangxi touched his chin and thought. If calculated like this, the relaxing time that originally belonged to him would undoubtedly be reduced a lot. But even so, as long as nothing unexpected happens next, he will still have some remaining personal time. Nan Xiang thought so. Compared with Nang Xiang, it is a simple consideration. On the other side, everyone in the band was a little excited when Nang Xiangxi agreed to end it. I went to visit the school festivals of other schools, and I was willing to be a tour guide when Nang Xiang was there. This is a very dreamy combination no matter what, right? They discussed quietly. This time it's not about playing. It's about what you should wear and what you should bring with you that day. Even Goto Kazuri participated in the discussion. The fact that she could go to the school festival with Nango Toki was enough to give her the courage to be timid and inferior. The atmosphere of their discussion was very lively. But soon, the lively atmosphere was broken by the rapid ringing of the phone. All the girls looked at each other curiously. Then they heard Nang Xiangxi's apologetic voice. Sorry, it's my phone number. It's okay, Nang Xiang-san. Rather than this, it's better to get through the phone quickly. I feel like the other party is quite anxious. At the end of the band, Hongxia Itaka spoke empathetically. At the same time, they were a little curious. Who called Nang Xiangxi this late at night? Under their curious and strange gazes, Nan Xiangxi kept a calm expression, correcting the test papers with one hand, and answered the phone with the other. Hello? Ah, it's Shiho-san and Ariho-san, what's the matter with calling me so late at night? No. Nothing else to be busy with. Compared to this, what do you have to do? What? Are you coming to Tokyo? During the 2 days of the Oka festival. Listening to the voice on the other end of the phone, Nang Xiangxi couldn't help but stand up, his face full of surprise. Why did he suddenly feel that everything was squeezed into the 2 days of the Oka festival at this moment? The Nango family has the eldest daughter, Nango Obeo, and the second daughter, Nango Shiho. The eldest daughter, Nang Xiangyobeo, has a gentle personality. She has an indescribable sense of quietness in every move she makes. She is used to doing things slowly, but very meticulously. The second daughter, Nango Shiho, is completely different from Aribo. She has short hair, big black eyes, a baby face, a quick temper, and quick work, but sometimes she gets into trouble. The eldest son in Nang Xiangxi was more like a compromise between their personalities. He got started quickly and never made mistakes. Therefore, for his younger brother, both sisters can be said to love him very much, and they are afraid that he will melt away in the palm of their hands. At this time, listening to Nango Shi's voice, the impatient second sister Nango Shiho first urged her sister. Sister, next time you call me, don't just ask how this guy is eating and drinking lately, but also ask about his recent private life. She was nagging as she spoke. Mom has been talking about wanting to have a grandson lately. Shiho. Don't talk nonsense. The last time I talked to Toki on the phone, he even said that he didn't have a girlfriend. Nango Yoho wrinkled his slender eyebrows and reprimanded his sister in a gentle tone. How could a boy as well behaved as our brother Toki have a girlfriend just 1 year after entering Tokyo High School? That would be unreasonable. Isn't it too fast? Hee, let's just say it. Nango Shiho clapped his fingers, his baby fat face looked a little cute. The main thing is that I heard that good-looking girls in Tokyo are like potatoes in the field, and there are a bunch of them when I lift them. I think with Ashi's looks and personality, even if we are dating 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 now it's not weird for any girlfriend. Those are girls from Tokyo. Girls in Tokyo are very thoughtful. What kind of boys have they not seen before? I'm actually worried that country boys like Ashi will be deceived by them. Nango Yoho glared at his sister. Although her manner of speaking was weak, she was still very authoritative in the eyes of Nango Shiho, the younger sister. So Nango Shiho blinked his big eyes, pouted his mouth, and stopped talking. After all, from a practical point of view, she also felt that Nang Xiangyobeo was telling the truth. Tokyo is the largest metropolis in Japan. The girls there should have seen all kinds of boys. How could it be so easy to be coaxed by a young man from the countryside in Nangxiang? Forget about falling in love with a girl and cuddling. Nango Shiho felt that his brother had probably never even touched a girl's hand in the past year. Well, my younger brother has always been honest and responsible in front of her sister. I don't know when I will find a girlfriend. Sad. Sad. Chapter 153. Slow down, 5,000 words. Enter a new week. Oka High School has also begun to officially enter the stage of preparing for various activities of the Oka Festival. During this period, the school went on and off as usual, and students in each class used the time after school to prepare for each class's Oka Festival activities. There would probably be a complete day off the day before the Oka Festival, giving each class time to decorate their classrooms. The chocolate banana dessert shop run by the second class of the second grade in Nangxiang was no exception. The executive committee of the Oka Festival in the class gives the orders. Some students went to buy chocolate. Other students contacted the fruit stall owner to order a batch of bananas. Naturally they didn't want to buy them now, after all, bananas are easy to spoil if left for too long. I was luckier in Nangxiang. Instead of having to run around doing errands, I was directly assigned to the background layout, and was responsible for using needle and thread to sew out the cute font of Chocolate Banana Shop, Class 2, High School. And there were 2 people in the same class who were assigned tasks together with him. They are all boys. The round-faced boy is named Tsuchiya Teo, and the other tall boy is named Shimazaki Shota. At this time, the 2 people were working and complaining. Why should such delicate work be left to us boys? Tsuchiya Taeyang used the unfamiliar needle and thread at hand. He really couldn't understand it. For a male classmate like him who had never touched needlework to do such a thing, he might as well help with some laborious work. For example, moving a box of chocolates or something like that. Isn't it a complete waste of time to sit here for a long time without even being able to sew a piece of cloth? He complained endlessly, which also resonated with Shota Shimazaki around him. Shota Shimazaki shook his sore wrist, looked at the fabric that was far away from being completely sewn, and sighed heavily. I'm afraid I won't be able to finish until 6 or 7 o'clock today. I want to die. Really? That's why I said that bitch Reina, executive committee member of the cultural festival, was just being unreasonable. Tsuchiya Taeyang was indignant, and then looked in the direction of Nangxiang with some curiosity. Nangxiang, she hasn't said a word since he started working until now. He hasn't spoken since the beginning, and he even started to sleep with his eyes squinted. This extraordinarily calm movement made Taeyang Tsuchiya next to him a little stunned when he saw it. Is it possible that the great demon king of Nangxiang is not only a genius in learning, but also a good hand in crafts? Is this all the work to be done? You must know that compared to the difficulty of simply sewing 2 or 3 pieces of fabric together, Nangxiang she had to sew the words Chocolate Banana Shop, Class 2, Grade 2, High School on the fabric. This level of complexity is much higher. Tsuchiya Taeyang's gaze also caught Shimazaki Shota's attention. He obviously also noticed Nangxiang, who was sleeping with his eyes squinted. Why is this man so calm? Is this all done? They were a little curious. Finally, Taeyang Tsuchiya was the first to ask, Nangxiang-san, how is the completion rate over there? Here. Nangxiang opened his eyes, seemingly unconcerned, and directly showed the specific condition of the white cloth under his feet. Then. Hiss. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My love simulation with them. Author, Chiudeo Udazi Iway. Chapter 184. Looking at the completion of the work in Nangxiang's hand, Tsuchiya Taeyang took a breath of surprise with an expression on his face. It's not because the degree of completion is too high. But, Nangxiang-san, it's been half an hour since you started working, and until now, you haven't even said a word. Tsuchiya Taeyang's mouth twitched. Yes. He found that he was completely wrong, so wrong. Nangxiang didn't finish the work at all, he didn't even move. The white cloth was empty, not to mention words, not even a shadow could be seen, it was cleaner than his face. Any questions? What do you mean by is there any problem? This is a big problem. When he saw Nangxiang, his face was still calm. Teo Tsuchiya couldn't help but say, don't you know that woman Rina Kawakami has a nickname called Crazy Ogre? Is there still this matter? I became a little interested when I was in Nangxiang. He naturally knew Kawakami Rina's name. The class monitor of the same class was also the executive committee member in charge of the Chocolate Banana Shop this time. She was dark, straight, and good-looking, but she had a more serious personality and was very serious about everything. To be honest, Nangxiang she actually didn't hate such people. Of course. So I advise you, Nangxiang, to work quickly. If the crazy ogre finds out that you are still sleeping at this moment, be careful. Next to him, Shota Shimazaki also came over, but before he could finish his words, he finally made a gesture of slicing his neck with a knife. Not urgent. Nangxiang Shi yawned, as if he didn't get enough sleep, and replied casually, I called my friends to come over and help. Your friend? Teo Tsuchiya and Shota Shimazaki subconsciously searched for people who fit the description of Nango's friend. But Nangxiang, stop joking. Tsuchiya Taeyang has nothing to say. Can I have friends in Nangxiang? Usually in school, he never even saw Nangxiang actively communicating with others. On weekdays, when this person is not doing anything, he just sits in his seat and sleeps, or flips through the library. If it weren't for Nangxiang's outstanding appearance and excellent grades, he has probably become a marginalized person on campus for a long time. Can I have friends in Nangxiang like this? Are you here to help? This is simply more fantastic than having a beautiful girl come to save them from difficulties now. Nangxiang, I advise you to start working now. Shimazaki and I can help you later, so that you can at least catch the last train. Tsuchiya Taeyang and Shimazaki Shota were sure that Nangoshi was bragging, so they tried their best to persuade Nangoshi, a fellow sufferer, to start working and stop dreaming. At least from now on, there is still a chance to catch the last train. But you came. Teo Tsuchiya and Shota Shimazaki looked at Nango, who suddenly stood up strangely. Nango, who are you talking to, huh? Shinjo-san. They turned around subconsciously, and then a look of astonishment appeared on their faces. Because the two of them clearly knew the girl with short pink and purple hair who appeared at the door of the classroom at some time. Shinjo Akane. Oka is second in her senior year of high school. His academic performance is second only to Nangxiang's, and his appearance is cute and beautiful. Her career line, which is much plumper than her peers, is talked about by boys in the same grade. The pair of thighs that are always wrapped under black socks often attract the attention of many people. She is the true everyone loves miracle girl in Oka High School. At this moment, such a famous girl in the school appeared at the door of their class. It seems, still related to Nangxiang Shi? Shimazaki Shota and Tsuchiya Taeyang opened their mouths. The words they had just tried to persuade Nangxiang, their good brother, to stop dreaming, were stuck in their throats and could not be said at all. They could only watch in a daze as Akane Shinjo walked in from the door, and then had a conversation with Nangxiang in a somewhat menacing manner. Nangxiang. What are you doing? Aren't you the actor who promised to go see a stage play with me today? You're just in time, Shintiao, help me sew the words. Huh? Isn't this your class's Oka festival event? Why do I have to do this for you? Please, Shinjo, I'm really sleepy. Let me ask you, do you think that every time you encounter something, you think that if you say this to me, I will foolishly agree to you? Please, Shinjo, this matter really can't be completed without your help. Shinjo, I can only ask you. I really can't do anything with this useless guy like you. Bring me a needle and thread. He looked at Akane Shinjo, who squinted her beautiful eyes and skillfully threaded the needle to take over the troublesome work that she had done in Nangxiang. Then he looked at Nango Toki, who had given up her work seat to Akane Shinjo, sat on the other side, and continued to sleep with her eyes closed. Tsuchiya Teo and Shimazaki Shota looked at each other. At this moment, they felt an emotion called gap between people from each other's eyes. But something even more unacceptable to the two of them was yet to come. Under their gaze, Akane Shinjo, who already had very strong manual skills, only spent more than 10 minutes to sew the fonts. She stretched out her white palms and showed Nangxiang the font sewn in her hands. How's it going? Nangxiang. If you look at it from the perspective of Teo Tsuchiya and Shota Shimazaki, The fonts sewn by Akane Shinjo have fine stitches and are round in shape, giving off a lovely artistic font feel. This can be said to be perfect, and it even feels like it can be sold outside by putting a price on it. But it doesn't feel right. Let's sew it again. Ah. No, you saw it too, it's very troublesome. There was a hint of reluctance in Akane Shinjo's clear voice. Listen to me, I think you can do better, Shinjo. Oh, okay. Listening to Nango Toki's words, Akane Shinjo's cute face softened slightly. She sighed slightly, agreed to Nango Toki's request, and continued to pick up the needle and thread. Hiss. Tsuchiya Taeyang and Shimazaki Shota took a breath, and they couldn't help but come to Nangxiang behind. What's wrong? Nangxiang, has anyone ever said to you, you really deserve to die before? No. Now that you have it, you really deserve to die. Looking at the pink-purple short-haired girl who lowered her head again to smooth the mess for Nango, Teo Tsuchiya and Shota Shimazaki felt that their back molars were about to be chewed. Let me say it first. Although I helped you settle the mess. But you also have to remember one thing. Akane Shinjo was walking in front, and at the same time she did not forget to blow her beard and glare at Nango who was yawning behind her. I'm helping you just because I don't want you to hinder my stage play. It's not for other reasons. If you misunderstand me, it will be difficult for me. Yes. At most, it was just helping Nang Xiangxi deal with the mess. If Nan Xiangxi misunderstood that she liked him, she would be in big trouble. And say what you like. It must be that Nan Xiang fell in love with her first, which makes the whole thing seem reasonable. So thinking of this, Akane Shinjo said this while looking up at Nang Xiang's reaction. But. Okay. Then I don't misunderstand. Nang Xiangxi nodded without hesitation. Shinjo Akane was silent. After a while, she couldn't help it anymore, and spoke with a somewhat disbelieving expression. I told you not to misunderstand, why don't you just say you don't misunderstand me? Then what else can we do? You. What's wrong? New article. Nothing. Stomping her feet vigorously, Akane Shinjo gritted her teeth. This guy, she was really pissed off. Even though it was her words. But that doesn't mean she doesn't care about his thoughts at all. Why doesn't this guy even understand this? How insensitive does one have to be? Do I have to confess my feelings to him just like the memory in my mind? And I had clearly tried so hard to help him just now. As a result, I haven't even had a good word to say, and I'm still angry to death. At the end of the day, does this guy really care about me? He kept yawning while talking to me. Is it possible that talking to me is so boring? Bored and want to sleep? Am I a bed? Or am I a pillow? Recalling that Nang Xiang had repeatedly called her for help, but now he didn't care and yawned all the time, Akane Shinjo felt a little discouraged. Although she didn't want to admit it, she felt that she was probably being completely manipulated by Nang Xiangxi. Maybe this man never paid much attention to her from the beginning to now, right? He was willing to help him write the script, probably just to lend money and borrow his DVD, right? My love simulation with them. Author, Chiudeo Uda Ziwei. Chapter 185. In essence, my relationship with Nang Xiangxi is still just a simple friend. Well. She sighed and kept walking. New article. At this time, Nan Xiangxi, who had been following her, yawned profusely and suddenly spoke. What's up? Although I had decided not to talk to Nan Xiang in my heart, when the other party actually opened his mouth to speak. Miss Shinjo still couldn't hold it back, turned her head and responded in a firm tone. This is for you. While Nang Xiang was half yawning, he casually took out a stack of manuscript paper from his shoulder bag. This is. Looking at the manuscript paper in her hand, and then at Nango who was yawning in front of her since they met until now, Akane Shinjo didn't quite understand, so she opened it and looked down with dissatisfaction. I really don't know what this person wants to do at this time. She looked down, but just looked and fell into silence. Because it's in her sight. The dense annotations and changed lines of the monster in the human heart are neatly left on the manuscript paper. This is. Akane Shinjo opened her mouth and looked up at Nangxiang. The modified and simplified version of Monster in the Heart. After all, considering that the stage play cannot be too long, there are still many scenes and lines that are difficult to realize, so I simplified it from beginning to end. Nanxiangshi waved his hand. It's not a big deal. I just did what I wanted to do. You don't have to take it to heart. Not a big deal? Listening to Nangxiangshi's indifferent words, Shinjo Akane couldn't help but glance at him. As soon as you hear the sentence, you will know that it is nonsense. This astonishing amount of text, with line annotations that are so detailed that a child can understand them at a glance, doesn't look like something that can be made casually no matter how you look at it. This guy, what the hell is going on with this guy? Obviously, just now he looked like he didn't care about himself. Doing this suddenly. How do you want her to look at him? Akane Shinjo hugged the script in her arms tightly. She thought a lot. The reason why Nangxiangshi was particularly low-spirited today was because when he talked to him, the other person yawned and looked perfunctory. It turns out, was that all because he stayed up late to write for her? From an angle that could not be seen in Nangxiang, Akane Shinjo subconsciously put her palms close to her chest. Here, it's beating really hard. Akane Shinjo seemed to finally understand the reason why she fell in love with Nango in the memory fragments. When she looked at Nangxiang, thinking silently, even if this person is narcissistic, he will manipulate himself for various things, and his attitude towards himself will not be as respectful as others. But he will work hard behind her things and understand her interests and hobbies at the same time. Just this. Perhaps that's the most important reason why I'm so fascinated by it. Akane Shinjo murmured softly, turning her head to look at the scenery outside the corridor. When she was young, she could only depend on her family's maid, Yuka Karasawa. Except for Karasawa Yuka, at that time she was just a childish brat who didn't want to trust any interpersonal relationships and didn't want to rely on anyone. And Karasawa Yuka would always tell her. Actually, no matter who it is, including Chien, you will meet someone who is truly willing to understand you, tolerate you, and recognize you in the future. Presumably, Chien at that time will also be deeply moved by that person. At that time, Shinjo Akane didn't take it seriously, thinking that this was just a simple truth, and it was a line that others had already said badly. But turns out everything you said is right. Aunt Yugia. There are really people in the world who are willing to understand, tolerate, and recognize me in disguise. Think of this. Akane Shinjo turned her head and glanced at Nangxiangshi's side face quietly. Just this simple movement made her heart beat faster. This reaction made Shinjo Akane, a girl who was considered strong no matter who she faced, couldn't help but sigh secretly in her heart. Do not know when. He has sunk so deeply. She thought, probably in the future, she would still be played by this guy Nangxiangshi, right? But how to say? At this time, she suddenly felt like she was willing to be played by the other party. This dangerous idea frightened Shinjo Akane. But after being startled, his mood returned to calm. Maybe she really was completely grasped by Nangxiangshi? Otherwise it wouldn't be like this. The girl with short pink and purple hair walked forward step by step like this. When he felt Nangxiang, who was already a little tired beside him, she deliberately slowed down her anxious pace. A little slower. Go slower. Even Shinjo Akane herself didn't realize it. For the first time, she had this feeling, of being willing to consider someone with all her heart. Chapter 154. That man is mine. 3,000 words. Sitting in the mobile classroom. Rika Takarada, who has beautiful black hair and sapphire blue eyes, felt restless. In fact, she was not the only one who felt this way. Right next to her, Yuta Hibiki and Sho Utsumi, who were invited by her, also felt the same way. No way. After all, in front of them, Akane Shinjo, the first and second grader in Oka High School who was known as the Great Demon King of Nango, was looking at the three of them up and down. This is Oka High School's long-term ranking of first and second in grade. When I looked over, I naturally felt a sense of oppression that other students didn't have. And if I have to say it, in fact, everything was fine in Nangxiang. He just pushed the door open and looked at them twice, then briefly introduced himself and then fell asleep on the desk. But it was completely different from the laid-back attitude he had in Nangxiang. Akane Shinjo looked at the three of them very seriously. The pair of crimson eyes glanced up and down. It's like they don't want to let go of every detail of their bodies. This look was so aggressive that Rika Takarada couldn't help but ask, "Did I get something on my face?" Akane Takarada Rika finally couldn't help but speak. "No. Nothing." Shinjo Akane obviously noticed that her gaze was too bold. She smiled and responded before speaking softly, "Can I ask Rika the names of the two boys behind you? Didn't we introduce ourselves before?" Sitting behind Rika Takarada, Sho Utsumi couldn't help but mutter. As said before. As soon as they entered the door, they had already introduced their names to Nangxiangshi. "Sorry, there are some things I need to confirm, so I wanted to ask more carefully." When Shinjo Akane glanced at Nango, confirming that the other party was still sleeping, she added, "My name is Utsumi Sho, Utsumi Nariaki's Utsumi in Kamen Rider build, and Shoya's Shogun." Although he didn't know what Akane Shinjo wanted to find out, after looking at the other party's pretty and cute face, General Utsumi patiently introduced himself. After all, beautiful girls still have some privileges. Then he stretched out his hand and pointed to Yuta Hibiki on the other side. "This guy's name is Yuta Hibiki, and he is my best friend." "Oh, Utsumi-san and Hibiki-san." Akane Shinjo nodded with a smile and said nothing further. On the surface it looked like she was just asking for their names. But in fact, sure enough, it was Sho Utsumi and Yuta Hibiki. Akane Shinjo clenched her fists where they couldn't see her, and the villain in her heart began to cheer for joy at this moment. This is consistent with the memory in my mind. In other words, just follow the process. Sooner or later, Nangxiangshi will fall in love with her. Perfect. It's perfect. Akane Shinjo tried her best to maintain a perfect smile on her face. "Don't laugh too exaggeratedly. Akane. You can't smile so happily. Even if everything develops perfectly, it won't work if Yuta Hibiki and Sho Utsumi notice that something is wrong, causing the future of their love affair with Nango Toki to change. My love simulation with them." Author, Chiudeo Udazi Iway. Chapter 186. Yes. After the previous psychological struggle, Shinjo Akane has completely made up her mind. She no longer argued internally and refuted her opinion of Nangxiangshi as before, but confirmed the fact that she liked Nangxiangshi. So the question is, if you like someone, what should you do? Akane Shinjo could answer this question in an instant without even thinking about it. That is, try your best to catch the person you like. Never let go. Shinjo Akane thought about it thoroughly. No matter what means are used, she had to make this man Nangxiangshi fall in love with her. For this reason, verifying whether the memory fragments in your mind are correct is only the first step. After all, memory is too ambiguous. Oka Festival, the Oka Festival, which lasts for 2 days, is the time you really have to work hard for. Thinking of this, when Akane Shinjo turned her head to look at Nango who was sleeping on the table, the corners of her cute mouth curved up unconsciously. not just fragments of memories in my mind. Likewise, the relationship must be confirmed in reality. This is what she needs to worry about most right now. To this end, Akane Shinjo turned her head and looked at Rika Takarada, Yuta Hibiki, and Sho Utsumi. Then she spoke simply, since you are Rika's friend, and you are willing to spare time to help during such a busy time as the Oka festival, of course I welcome it. Here is the script of The Monster in the Heart, Utsumi-san, Hibiki classmates and Rika, you can all take a look. She handed the 3 copied scripts to Rika Takarada and 3 others. After the 3 of them had gone through it roughly, they continued to speak. Then, if you don't have any objections to the script, how about we end today and start tomorrow in this mobile classroom for daily line training? No problem. Sho Utsumi and Yuta Hibiki were already interested in Takyozatsu stage plays, and they had no reason to refuse. Not to mention Takarada Rika. Even though there was no contact for more than half a year, she always regarded Akane Shinjo as a true friend. Of course she is willing to work hard for the other party's request for help. But just when Rika Takarada was about to go home and read the script, Akane Shinjo took the initiative to speak. Rika, wait a moment. Huh? Rika Takarada stopped moving and looked at Akane Shinjo, who called out to her strangely. I have something else I want to ask Rika for help with. Akane Shinjo smiled and spoke slowly. That's right. In order to successfully capture Nango Toki in her hand, Akane Shinjo had already been prepared to ask for help from others. And in the memory fragments, her friend and best friend Rika Takarada is currently the person she most trusts and relies on. Meanwhile, on the other side, the practice is finally over. Ikuyo Kita made such a sound and relaxed his body while removing his fingers from the guitar strings. She tilted her head excitedly. This way, there will be no problem even on the stage of the Oka festival. Goto-san. Ah, yes. Goto Ichiri, who also released his fingers from the pressed chord, nodded subconsciously after hearing Kita Ikuyo's words. With the reminder from Nangxiang, I haven't relaxed in the past 2 days since the band ended. I have been practicing with high intensity. The same is true today. She has been practicing with Kita Yuyo until now. I just took a look at the time and there was still some time left. Goto Kazuri hesitated for a moment, then sat down again and placed his fingers on the guitar strings again. Goto-san, you worked really hard. Beside her, Ikuyo Kita, who had a sunny smile on his face, stared at her movements and sighed. Hey? That isn't, I want to practice for a while. Feeling Kita Ikuyo's gaze, Goto Kazuri lowered his head in embarrassment. In fact, she has her own selfish motives. Before the Oka festival, Nango Toki had told her online that he hoped to see her show off her skills at the Oka festival. Those might just be words, Nangxiang, she said casually, and maybe even Nangxiang she doesn't remember saying such words to her now. But as long as there is a chance, I want him to see more of my handsome side. Goto Ichiri tightened his grip on the pick a little harder. Yes. As long as there is a chance. As long as Nangxiang is surprised by his transformation at the Oka festival. Then Ichiri Goto felt that her efforts were not in vain. And in order to achieve this goal. I'm sorry, Kita-san. Huh? Ikuyo Kita, who was relaxing his wrist, turned his head strangely. I'm sorry, during this break, but, Kita-san, can you practice with me for a while longer? Why? Kita Ikuyo looked at Goto Kazuri, who said these words in surprise. The other person's eyes hidden under the bangs did not dodge as usual. Although he was very scared, this time he raised them up very hard, looked at her, and said these words. Goto-san, who has always been afraid of looking at others, actually. Kita Ikuyo felt incredible. But when she noticed that Goto Ichiri seemed to have other emotions in his eyes, Kita Ikuyo smiled. Okay. Come on. Goto-san. Yes. Bring it on. Go to San Oka Festival. It must surprise Nangxiang Sr. Her specialty, inferiority complex, has been slightly reduced, and her current level is LV3. That's when Ichisato Goto made up his mind. Nishiki Kishu, who was standing outside the costume, felt a chill. She has a special skill of reaction level 5, a talent beyond ordinary people's imagination. At this moment, she seemed to feel something unknown. This feeling is very strange. It's as if one's most precious possessions are being watched and taken care of by someone. And it's not just one person. Sure enough, is she the woman with short pink and purple hair? Recalling the appearance of the love rival in her mind, Nishiki Kishu clenched her fists. Memory. The current chill. She had to be vigilant. You must know that there is only one in Nangxiang. And the other party is so outstanding. There is no guarantee that other women will also eye this man during the Oka festival. Thinking of this, Nishiki Kishu, who had a heightened sense of crisis, rushed directly into the fitting room. Hey! Kinzu! What are you doing? The schedule has been changed. Takina! Today we not only have to choose beautiful clothes for you to go out, but also choose the winning underwear. It's the kind of underwear that it doesn't matter if you show it to Nango. Huh? Can underwear be shown to anyone casually? Wait, don't pull my underwear. There was a sound of chickens and dogs jumping. The fitting room became quiet again. Chapter 155. Heartbeat Value Contribution List. Who is the top brother on the list? 4,000 words. The girls' emotions were surging, all kinds of thoughts were rising, and they were discussing intensely, thinking about how to become people who stand at the pinnacle of love. However, life in Nangxiang, which they thought about deeply, was as before. It's over. After eating, he studied for an hour as usual. Nangxiang Shi took a breath and put down his pen. Your specialty learning has increased slightly, and your current level is LV4. Miss Simulator is still the same. Nangxiang Shi took a sip of water and looked at the improvement of his learning skills with satisfaction. He has been stuck at LV4 learning level for a long time, and he doesn't know when he will be able to break through to LV5. Of course, this is just a thought. The specialty of LV5 is a level that requires reaching the peak level of human beings. He only studies for 1 hour every day, but it is still a bit fanciful to want to reach LV5 level. Besides, it would be nice to improve. There is no point in thinking about so many things that may or may not exist. Thinking of this, Nangxiang Shi put down the water glass. At the same time, he freed his eyes and took a look at his heartbeat points. Current heartbeat points remaining, 1190. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My love simulation with them. Author, Chiudeo Udazi Iway. Chapter 187. Huh? It's already 1190 o'clock. Nangxiang was a little surprised. You must know that 4 or 5 days have passed since the last time he simulated Miss Shinjo. He remembered that the last time he simulated Miss Shinjo's happy ending, his remaining heartbeat points should be 990 points. In just 4 or 5 days, his heartbeat points increased by 200 points without him knowing. What's the situation? It was a little strange in Nangxiang. In the past few days, he was busy with the things at hand, and at the same time he paid great attention to the distance between him and the girls. He rarely deliberately increased his heart rate. If he deliberately contacts the simulated object, 200 heartbeat points are actually not too many, but in this situation where he does not take the initiative to contact the other person's private life, the increase of nearly 200 points will occur. This is quite exaggerated. Nangxiang Shi thought for a moment, reached out and clicked on the simulator page, and opened an additional page called the Heartbeat Value Contribution List. Just like Bilibili or a certain fish live broadcast in the previous life. In the background of the simulator, you can actually see the heartbeat value obtained from each simulated object. Nang Xiangxi had noticed this thing a long time ago and opened it. But later, due to being busy with simulations, studying, and various other things, Nang Xiang hadn't opened this list for a long time. And, how should I put it? It's just that this thing is hanging next to the simulator. I usually just take a look at it, and I feel like, the first and second brother on the list today is giving me rewards and money again. This made Nang Xiangxi feel indescribably weird. This evil simulator is quite down to earth in every sense of the word. But put aside the fact that it made him feel a little weird. In other senses, this heartbeat value contribution list is also quite useful. First of all, unlike the data detector in the mall, which requires heart rate redemption, it is a purely free page. Secondly, it is very convenient to be able to see the total contribution of the simulated object to his heart rate and heart rate value. From just these 2 points, you can see that this free and extremely convenient function is almost impossible to find even with a lantern. I feel like I can take a second look at this heartbeat value contribution list from time to time. Nang Xiangxi murmured to himself, then stretched out his hand to open it. He remembered that the last time he looked at this list, Godu Kazuri was the unshakable top brother on the list. I don't know what the situation is now. Has the position of the top brother on the list changed hands? Opening the page, Nang Xiangxi glanced over. On the page of the light blue heart rate contribution list, the names of each simulation object are arranged as follows. Number 1 user with high heart rate, Kazuri Godu heart rate contribution, 1240. Number 1 user with high heart rate, Akane Shinjo heart rate contribution, 1240. The second high energy user with heartbeat value, Nishiki Kishu heart rate contribution, 1030. Third place among users with high heart rate, Ryo Yamada heartbeat value contribution number, 0. Remaining heart rate high energy users, vacant. This page. Nang Xiangxi resisted the desire to complain. If something like click here to receive heartbeat points appears in the lower right corner, then he really had nothing to say. Nang Xiangxi shook his head to get rid of the desire to complain. After carefully confirming the names on the list, he was a little surprised. Oh! Under his gaze, Kazuri Goto is still the number 1 heartbeat contributor. The one who contributed the same amount to her heart rate was Miss Shinjo, who had caught up at some point. As the second simulation subject, Nishiki Kisha ranked third on the list with a slight gap of 210 points. Nango believed that this was probably because he spent more time with Akane Shinjo than Ichiri Goto in the days leading up to the Oka festival. At the same time, because he needed to prepare for the Oka festival, his time to go to Riko was also reduced. That's why Miss Shinjo, the simulated target just after the simulation, became a dark horse and ranked first on the list. These days, I have been in contact with Miss Shinjo for longer than Miss Goto and Miss Nishikiki. Nang Xiangxi touched his chin. Yes. Because I have to be responsible for the narration of the script of The Monster in the Heart. So Nang Xiang basically stayed in the activity classroom for the past 2 days to accompany Akane Shinjo and the others. After the event, they went directly to the Stars Performance Hall to provide tutoring sessions for Yamada Ryo and Goto Kazuri. After this back and forth, Miss Shinjo's heart rate naturally increased. It's just. Ms. Yamada, what's wrong with you? When Nang Xiang looked at a group of girls, there were often more than 1,000 heartbeat points behind them. Then look at Miss Yamada's pitiful little egg. He couldn't help but rub his eyebrows. This woman can be called a strange woman in every sense of the word. Even the heart rate contribution can have a 0 hanging on it. But forget it, Ms. Yamada wasn't even a simulation subject at the beginning. Nang Xiangxi sighed slightly. Yes. Ryo Yamada was never a simulation subject from the beginning. It was because he used the Ryo Yamada Ifrit card of Unable to Love that the simulator reluctantly converted it into the simulation object. But even if it is barely included in the simulation object, Miss Yamada's name is still gray, which cannot be simulated due to lack of recognition from Miss Simulator. Therefore, even if Ms. Yamada does show that she is interested in him, it will be counted as not. But if you think about it from the opposite direction, Ms. Yamada can be regarded as the top brother on the reverse list. Nang Xiang stared at the 0-point heartbeat contribution hanging behind Miss Yamada and sighed. Yes. Judging from this 0 egg that will never change, Ms. Yamada firmly holds her position as the top brother in the reverse ranking list. It is basically impossible for anyone to shake it. Then the topic comes back again. Nang Xiang looked at his remaining 1190 heartbeat points. He estimated that most of his heartbeat value, which had increased to 1190 points, was a gift from Miss Shinjo, who had been in close contact with him these days. Only 1190, this number, is a bit too subtle anyway. Nang Xiang stood up, put the water glass into the sink and thought. Yes. 1190 points of heartbeat value. If it grows by another 10 points. Then Nang Xiangxi met a condition. A condition that he had always been curious about. Simulate it yourself. When Nan Xiang looked at this option, he didn't even dare to look at it. After spending 4 simulation opportunities, the ontological consciousness is projected into the simulated world. Do as the emulator says. This should be a 100% recreation of the simulation experience. It's just that the price of up to 4 simulation opportunities has always been high. Rang Nang Xiang could only look up 4 simulation opportunities. Based on the conversion of 300 heartbeat points for each simulation opportunity, the heartbeat points required for a simulation in person are 1200 heartbeat points. No matter which angle you look at it, this is a huge amount of money that is enough to make people flinch. Moreover, previous simulation objects may also have the possibility of simulation failure, ordinary ending, or regretful ending. Therefore, Nang Xiang has always been frugal, even wanting to use the simulation opportunity twice. But it's different now. Nang Xiangxi regained his energy and sat down in front of the small round table again. He is indeed completely different now. 1190 points of heartbeat value is a huge amount of money in your hand. And so far, no new simulation objects have been encountered. That is to say, this exciting value can be spent on the personal simulation function that he has always been curious about. It's just that there's still 10 heartbeat points left. Nan Xiangxi picked up the phone and looked at the time. The time now is around 8:50 p.m. Although Goto Kazuri, Shinjo Akane, and Nishiki Kishu must not have fallen asleep at this time. But contacting them late at night was a bit too sudden and inappropriate no matter how you thought about it. Let's talk about it tomorrow. After all, there is only 10 heartbeat points left. If you think of a way, you should be able to get it. Think so? Nang Xiang put down his cell phone and prepared to do other things for the time being. My love simulation with them. Author, Chiudeo Udazi Iway. Chapter 188. But. Ding dong. The moment Nang Xiangxi put down his phone, a crisp line notification sounded. Nang Xiang was a little surprised. He had already decided not to contact anyone at night. Unexpectedly, someone actually contacted him. I don't know if it's Akane Shinjo or Chisu Nishiki who always chats with him from time to time. Or is it Miss Yamada who always secretly sends a lot of messages to harass him in some underworld hours. As for Miss Goto, who is already weak, that was completely out of Nang Xiang's consideration. Nang Xiang added her to his line friend list. The number of times I chatted with her can be said to be very few. The number of times she took the initiative to chat with him could be counted on 3 fingers. Low self-esteem LV3, social fear LV2 is so terrible. Thinking of this, Nan Xiangxi picked up the phone and briefly glanced at the names on it. Then, he couldn't help but say huh. His previous guess was completely wrong. I only see it in the line friend list. There is a clear red message prompt with one behind Goto Ichiri's avatar. Is it really Miss Goto? Nangxiang opened the picture of Goto Kazuri with a strange expression. This is really unprecedented. I don't know what Miss Goto said. Probably dead. Ah, she is that there. The most beautiful boy in Tokyo. Hey, what do you want from me at night? 1 mile. Probably dead. Very sorry that I have to trouble you to turn on your phone for someone like me so late at night. I'm really very sorry. Behind the mobile phone screen, because he was too nervous when contacting Nangxiang for the first time without outside intervention, Goto Ichiri accidentally typed the word sorry wrongly with a flick of his fingers. Ugh. I'm such an idiot. This is obviously the first time that I take the initiative to chat with Ashi. Goto covered his face. Fortunately, she mustered up the courage to call Nangxiang shi Ashi. As a result, the next sentence was messed up. But, probably dead. When I came to see this time, there was something I wanted to tell you. The fingers are trembling. His fair face flushed slightly. The body in the pink pajamas was trembling slightly. But this time, Ichiri Goto did not escape. Type the sentence word for word and send it. Tokyo's most beautiful boy, what could it be? Probably dead, just, during the Oka festival. Can Atoki take some time to accompany me to visit the Oka festival? Click. Send. Then take a deep breath. This whole set of actions is smooth and flowing. After sending out this message, Goto Kazuri directly hid his little face behind the pillow, and his snow-white and round toes curled up and trembled restlessly and cutely. Usually it's because you feel too shy about asking men out. On the other hand, it is simply fear because of the fear of rejection. I have tried my best. Kida-san. I tried really, really hard. Kida-san. So, even if you are rejected, there is nothing to regret. Of course, this sentence must be a lie. If he was really rejected by Nangxiang, Goto Ichiri felt that she would really cry on the spot, so she buried her face behind the pillow for a long time. It was not until she heard the line notification tone that she became nervous and carefully poked her head out from behind the pillow and looked at the screen of her phone. A dimly fluorescent screen. To her, it's like the not-so-bright sun. And the sun hidden in it, responded to her like this. The most beautiful boy in Tokyo. Okay, let's make an appointment then. Good. Okay. Make an appointment, make an appointment. Hey hey. Hee. Holding the mobile phone, the pink-haired girl grinned and lay on the quilt, like a maggot. Twist, twist. Chapter 156. Miss Yamada and Personal Simulation, 4,000 words. The time spent chatting with Ichiri Goto didn't last long. After the other party said anyway, it will be on Saturday. His chat with Goto Ichiri ended in a rather flustered and abrupt atmosphere. Although Nangxiang did have the idea to continue talking. But considering that Ms. Goto probably spent a lot of courage just contacting her. Keep chatting with him until he falls asleep, this is unrealistic no matter how you think about it. So Nangxiang could only shake his head with regret. Only. Although I agreed to Miss Goto's request, in terms of time. Nangxiang began to sort out his time schedule for the Oka festival. First, I went to the Oka festival with Ms. Shinjo, and then I went to the Oka festival with Ms. Goto. The time of these two sides seems to be squeezed together, but in fact there is still room for arrangement. The Oka festival lasts for 2 days. They are Saturday and Sunday this week. Nang Xiangxi felt that relying on the time difference between Saturday morning and afternoon should be able to accompany them perfectly. Ms. Xinzhou accompanied her to visit the Oka festival from 9 to 12 o'clock in the morning on the first day of the Oka festival. Ms. Godu, aside from the fact that he needs to be on duty from 12 to 1:30 on the first day, just go shopping with her until 4:30. After 4:30, the stage play Monster in the Heart started in the gymnasium, followed by the closing band performance, and then accompanied the closing band to visit the Oka festival. This is almost the end of the day on Saturday. There should be no problem at all with this arrangement. But besides that, there are 2 variables. There is a problem with Sister Obeo and second Sister Shiho. I made a mistake earlier. I am sure it is Sister Obeo and second Sister Shiho. Please use this as a benchmark in the future. Nang Xiangxi shook his head. I don't know when my eldest sister and second sister will come over. But based on the driving distance from Akita to Tokyo, it should be around 5 or 6 o'clock in the afternoon when the 2 of them arrived in Tokyo. Unless they both take a car to Tokyo early in the morning. But, it shouldn't be, right? Nang Xiangxi made a decision in his heart and nodded secretly. But if you follow this arrangement, then all his time on Saturday will undoubtedly be occupied, and the so-called relaxing Oka festival will be basically impossible. But it's no problem. At least we have a Sunday off. Nang Xiangxi stretched out comfortably. The Oka festival lasts for 2 days and 1 night. Even if we follow the schedule just arranged, Nang Xiangxi still has personal time on Sunday. Just a day to relax. But it was enough to satisfy Nang Xiangxi. Then what happens next? Nang Xiang turned his head and was about to look at the simulator page, wondering whether the conversation with Ms. Godu just now had an increase in heart rate. The next second. Ding dong. It was the sound of line receiving a message again. This made Nang Xiang feel strange when he was about to reach out. Why are so many people actively contacting me tonight? It was Ms. Godu just now. Who is it this time? He picked up the phone he had just put down. Hello, you must be happy. Thousands of brocade trees. Lord of the hour, Lord of the hour, Lord of the hour. Thousands of bunches. Nang Xiangxi held up his face, looked at the message she sent, and replied simply. The most beautiful boy in Tokyo, is there something, 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 something. Hello, you must be happy. Something happened. The attached picture shows a little girl with blonde hair and Q version who looks very similar to Chisu Nishiki and makes a scissors hands smile. Nang Xiangxi. Nang Xiangxi couldn't help but smile and shake his head. My love simulation with them. Author, Chiudeo Udazi. Chapter 189. Nishiki Kishu is still the same as before, always looking happy. Tokyo's most beautiful boy, what's going on? Hello, you must be happy. You guess? Tokyo's most beautiful boy, I got off, my phone is out of battery. Hello, you must be happy. Sent an audio recording. Nang Xiang reached out his hand and clicked it open. What jumped into his ears was Nishiki Kishu's always noisy, pleasant, and slightly magnetic voice. No, Shi-kun. You're so cold. We obviously already have that kind of relationship, woo, just guess. There's a reward for guessing right. The most beautiful boy in Tokyo, what reward? Hello, you must be happy. Reward Kinzu with a sweet kiss. Tokyo's most beautiful boy, I got off, my phone is out of battery. Hello, you must be happy. No Shijun. Take a guess. Just guess this time. Really? Nang Xiangxi looked at Jin Mukinchi's message speechlessly, sighed, and thought about it before sending out his thoughts. The most beautiful boy in Tokyo, do you want me to accompany you to the Oka festival? Hello, you must be happy. As expected of Shijun. The brain that ranks first in the national mock test is smart. What an accurate guess. Is your guess really accurate? Looking at these words, Nang Xiangxi felt helpless. He couldn't tell Nishiki Kishu that 2 or 3 people had actually approached him before her and said they wanted to go to the Oka festival with him, right? Even as early as when he saw the news about Nishiki Kishu, Nang Xiang had a thought, is this person also here to invite me to the Oka festival? Hello, you must be happy. So, what do you think? Do you want to go to the Oka festival with me and Takina? Nang Xiangxi. To be honest, Saturday's schedule is basically full. It's the kind that can't be filled anymore. But I have already promised Miss Shinjo and Miss Goto, it would not be good to refuse her again. Indeed. After all, they have already promised Akane Shinjo and Kazuri Goto. Being treated specially when you arrive at Nishiki Kishu's place, just thinking about it seems a bit inappropriate. Thinking of this, Nang Xiang clicked his finger on the screen to send a message. The most beautiful boy in Tokyo, yes. Agree first. Then Nang Xiangxi moved his fingers again, planning to set the agreed date on Sunday. But hello, you must be happy. Great. Then it's Saturday. Ah. The message Nang Xiangxi had not yet sent was stillborn, and the corner of his mouth twitched as he looked at the words Jinmyukinshu sent. No. Why? Etc., etc. If MS Nishikiki is also on Saturday, the schedule for that day will be completely messed up. Nang Xiangxi is not a master of time management, someone who can schedule his day into the evening. The key is that Miss Shinjo and Miss Goto have already agreed, both on Saturday. You little girls, do you have any special hobbies for Saturdays? Nang Xiang was a little nervous and was about to send a message to Nishiki Kishu to find a way to squeeze out time on Sunday. Hello, you must be happy. It just so happens that Takina and I are only free on Saturday. It's great that Shijun is willing to agree. He has already asked the store manager for leave. So that's it? It's a little late, let's go take a shower and rest. See you then. Shijun. The most beautiful boy in Tokyo. This string of ellipses is just like Nang Xiang's current mood. After all, it's really. Why? Why are they all crowded together? Nang Xiang took a breath of cold air. If we follow the current process, on the first day of the Oka festival, he would be confused by all the crowded things. He could hardly imagine what kind of chaos he would be in if his 2 sisters came over on the day of the Oka festival. And he's still hanging out with so many girls. Although my character is weak, I am a very serious elder sister. She has a hasty character, but she is very interested in his private life and has to ask her sister Shiho several times every time. Nan Xiangxi sat down and held his forehead with his palms. He was just thinking. My head is already starting to hurt slightly now. This is undoubtedly a dilemma that he has to face. And there are few solutions to this dilemma. He can't be allowed to split into several persons to accompany Shinjo Akane, Nishiki Kishu, Inu Takina, Goto Ichiri and his 2 sisters, right? If only there was such a convenient ability. Forget it. There's no point in making any plans now. Nang Xiang threw all the thoughts out of his mind. Now we can only take one step at a time. As for who to accompany first and who to accompany later, let's wait until the time comes to consider this kind of thing. After all, what happened now has fully made Nang Xiangxi understand the correctness of the saying plans cannot keep up with changes. Let's stop what happened on Saturday. Let's see what the heart rate is now. Leave the Oka festival Saturday aside. Nang Xiangxi simply looked at the simulator page. Reach out. Retrieve the rest of the heartbeat value. Then. Sure enough, there has been growth. Nang Xiangxi looked at the remaining heartbeat points on the page and blinked. On the list of data, I saw that the heartbeat value of 1190 just now has increased to the current heartbeat value of 1250 points. Nang Xiangxi thought about reaching out and clicking on the heartbeat value acquisition list on the other side. You gain 30 heartbeat points from Nishikiki Kishu. You gain 30 heartbeat points from Ichiri Godu. As expected, it's MS Nishikiki and MS Godu. You don't even need to look at Nango to know that on the current heartbeat value contribution list, Miss Godu should have regained her position as the top brother on the list. This is also normal. Although Nango didn't want to say this, Toichiri had a low self-esteem and a fearful character. Just a simple conversation with him may produce a heartbeat value. I hope that MS Godu can improve her low self-esteem and fear of society as soon as possible, like in the simulation. Nang Xiang murmured. Yes. Although the heartbeat value has been increasing, it is only good for Nang Xiangxi. But he didn't want to keep watching Godu Ichiri feel inferior and fearful like this. Although a child with low self-esteem and stupidity is lovable. But Nang Xiangxi hopes that she can really get better, correct her character and realize her rock and roll dream. This cannot be replaced by giving him more heartbeat points. Thinking of this, Nang Xiang stood up without hesitation, found a comfortable sleeping position, and lay on the bed. 1200 heartbeat points is enough now. In other words, the conditions for personal simulation have been assembled. Next, as long as he redeems the opportunity to simulate in person, his consciousness will be able to enter the simulated world and personally experience the situation in the simulation. The first thing you need to decide to simulate in person is mock object. Nan Xiang murmured to himself. Yes. No matter which simulation is performed, the choice of simulation object is the most important. Not to mention the option of simulating it yourself. Nang Xiang thought about it, then stretched out his hand and opened the list of simulated objects. Currently available simulations: Nango Shiho, Nango Yoho, Godu Ichisato, Nishiki Kishu, Shinjo Akane, Yamada Ryo. Of course it is impossible for Nango Shiho and Nango Yubo. After all, both of them are their sisters. Even if he broke Nang Xiangxi's leg, he wouldn't be able to do orthopedics in Germany. Not to mention that Nan Xiang had never simulated the two of them at all. Then the two sisters can be eliminated. The only ones left are Godu Kazuri, Nishiki Kishu, and Shinjo Akane. Nang Xiang fell into thinking. Is it Miss Godu or Miss Nishikiki? Or Miss Shinjo? These three are all Nang Xiangxi's simulation subjects. To be honest. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My love simulation with them. Author, Chiudeo Udaziiwei. Chapter 190. In terms of personal attitudes and feelings, Nang Xiang felt that it was really difficult to choose one of them. At this time, I have to ask myself why I am so poor. If you have 3600 heartbeat points, directly 3 people take turns to simulate once. There simply wouldn't be so many things. But you still have to choose one. Nang Xiang thought about it, and subconsciously crossed the names of the 3 people with his fingers. But it was just under the action of crossing his fingers. Nang Xiangxi suddenly noticed something that he had not thought of at all. That is MS Yamada, who could not be simulated originally, Ryo Yamada, who has always been named in a gray state. At this moment, it turned into an ordinary white name that can be simulated. This is really... Nang Xiangxi looked at the situation in front of him with some surprise. You must know that MS Yamada's simulation cannot be simulated at all except using the Love Is Not Allowed, Yamada Ryo if root card. Nang Xiangxi originally thought that he would imitate Miss Yamada's words. Probably have to wait until next time. Another situation arises where Miss Yamada is running with her, and she fails again in the happy ending. The simulator will reward itself with another Yamada Ryo if card to start Miss Yamada's simulation route again. But now, I really didn't expect to be able to imitate Miss Yamada again. Nango Toki estimated that personal simulation would not only be effective for Goto Kazuri, Shinjo Akane and Nishiki Kishu. It had the same effect on MS Yamada. After all, MS Yamada's route also includes the option of personal simulation. As long as it has personal simulation, can open the simulation world. So, how to choose? Because a rare card, Miss Yamada, was suddenly added, the choice became more difficult. Nangxiang fell into thinking. Chapter 157. Daily Life After Marriage with Nangxiang Liang, 4,000 words. As expected, it's still MS Yamada. Thinking about who to choose can be very difficult. But after repeated deliberation, Nangxiang finally chose Yamada Ryo. The reason is actually very simple, and there are roughly 3 points. First, because MS Yamada is a special case among simulation objects, she can only be simulated by using props or simulating it herself. Finally getting this opportunity this time, Nangxiang felt that there was no big problem in giving priority to her. You must know that including Goto Kazuri, the other girls simulated it 2, 3, or even 4 times. Only MS Yamada performed a pitiful imitation. Based on this consideration, Nangxiang Shi naturally felt that he owed Miss Yamada something. The second reason is because Miss Yamada is the only one among his simulations who has simulated many times and run with him many times. In almost every simulation, MS Yamada was never absent. The third reason is even simpler. In MS Yamada's simulation, she was overly concerned about MS Yamada's condition and neglected the changes in Yamada's father's lung condition, which led to the regretful death of Yamada's father. Nangxiang only scored 89 points in the end, 1 point short of entering a happy ending. This somewhat made Nangxiang feel a little confused. But since Miss Yamada only had one noble simulation opportunity, Nangxiang couldn't give up. Instead, he told Miss Yamada in reality that Yamada's father should go to the hospital for a physical examination in advance to avoid tragedy. It's hard to calm down, and it's a bit unfair to Miss Yamada. So Nangxiang Shi finally chose Miss Yamada as the object of personal simulation. Although this is a bit unfair to the first and second in the list who contributed to the heartbeat value. But Nangxiang Shi could only apologize, and stretched out his hand to open the simulator's menu page. Bring it on. Do you want to spend 1,200 heartbeat points to simulate it yourself? Whether. I hope MS Simulator can be worthy of my 1,200 heart rate simulation. Nangxiang Shi glanced at the menu page in front of him and muttered to himself. As for why he calls the simulator Miss, it's not that he assumes gender, it's just that he thinks it sounds good. And if you call the simulator brother, this would be too gay. Nangxiang Shi was a serious straight man and had no XP in that area, so forget it. He stretched out his hand and decisively chose the yes option. Current heart rate remaining, 50. Remaining number of personal simulations, 0. It has been detected that the simulated object has changed slightly in the future. Do you want to load a new Sims? Whether. A new life. Looking at the pop-up window that suddenly popped up in front of him, Nangxiang Shi raised his eyebrows. His mind was spinning very quickly, and he immediately thought of what he had done in reality. It's different from the simulation where Yamada's father sadly passed away. In reality, Nangxiang Shi had already reminded Yamada Ryo to pay attention to her father's physical condition. Is it possible that this is the reason? So the simulation results have changed. Nangxiang lifted his spirits. If that's the case, so will the original regrettable ending of 89 points change? Thinking of this, he chose yes without hesitation. The simulation page began to flash in front of you, and the next prompt emerged. Please choose the time point for personal simulation. Time point. Nang Xiangxi thought for a while and stretched out his hand to check. Time point, one day after Nango Yuna's sophomore year of high school. Nango Yuna is the daughter of Ryo that Nango had met in the simulation, and he has not forgotten this. You have to make a choice anyway. It is better to enter the old married couple stage directly. After making his choice, Nang Xiang simply closed his eyes and lay down. Personal simulation begins. You used the excuse of learning guitar to break into stars and meet her. She was originally not interested in any men, but she was only attracted by your terrifying guitar learning speed. She became interested in you, and this also becomes an opportunity for her to fall in love with you because her academic performance is really mediocre and she has the dream of being admitted to the University of Tokyo. She asks you for help in daily study exchanges. Your relationship deepens day by day. During this period, you asked her father to check her body and successfully saved everything before the tragedy happened. She trusts you more, and at this moment, a seed of affection that she doesn't know is planted in her heart, which has never cared about others. She relies more and more on you, and enjoys being with you more and more communication between you. So that's it? Nang Xiang asked why Miss Yamada, who was always cold to others in real life, was so close to him. It turned out that although this woman didn't say it, she was actually very grateful to herself for reminding her father. Think about it too. That is Miss Yamada's blood relative. The other party will have a good impression of you because of this, and that's natural. However, due to poor simulation results and the bottleneck of writing new songs to end the band, Yamada Ryo fell into a depression, stopped contacting you, and did not come to the Stars Performance Hall again for a long time. At Kita Ikuyo's request, you promised them to bring her back and went to her home alone that day. It was raining heavily. You and her were leaning against each other at the bus stop. You confessed your love and you became lovers. Time passed and you were successfully admitted to the Faculty of Medicine of the University of Tokyo and got engaged to her in the second year after entering the university. After graduating from college, he married her and took over Yamada's father's hospital. Just being with you makes her feel extremely happy. With your encouragement, Nango Ryo continued to pursue Bessa's dream, even after giving birth to Nango Yuna. Your child Nango Yuna, like her mother, also wants to have her own base dream. However, her love for you that transcends the relationship between father and daughter and her enthusiasm that has not diminished even in her second year of high school often gives Nango Ryo a headache. Although she didn't say much on the surface, she loved you more deeply than anyone else and was extremely tolerant of her, until today. The breeze blows gently through the courtyard, giving people a comfortable and relaxing feeling. There were no clouds in the clear sky, and the sun shone down smoothly, falling on the cold, elegant, and lazy face of Nango Yuna, who was gently wiping the base. Black long-sleeved, navy blue mid-length skirt. Hidden under the long skirt are shapely and beautiful calves wrapped in black socks. Short dark blue hair, amber eyes, androgynous, but extremely upright and delicate face. The only difference from her mother may be that the mole on her eyelid is not on her left eye, but on her right eye. She expressionlessly wiped the base in her hands gently. But in reality, she was like a predator staring at her prey. Her seemingly waveless amber eyes were staring at her prey. It was a man who was leaning on a bench, taking advantage of the quiet sunshine, holding a library book and reading it carefully. He was wearing a spring gown, elegant and handsome. The sound of flipping through library books softly. The reading speed is so fast that others will doubt whether the other person has really read the text carefully. The spring sunshine falls quietly. The man's short black hair and white fingers made him look indescribably good-looking. Nango Yuna wiped the base even more urgently. Wait until you have wiped away some of the dust from under the bass strings. Nango Yuna then put the bass next to her and stood up. She quietly came up behind him and spoke in a voice that was almost as magnetic as her mother's. "It's too bright." "Huh," the man responded. "It's not good for your eyes." Nango Yuna lowered her body, her amber eyes flashing with danger, and said softly, "You'd better go to our room with me." My love simulation with them. Author, Chiu Dao Yu Da Zi I Wei. Chapter 191. Yuna, if you don't want to be scolded by your mother, don't pretend to be her. Putting down the library book, the man smiled and turned his head to the side and spoke. Nango Yuna secretly said it was a pity and quietly stepped back. She felt that it was probably because she didn't look like her mother enough that her father found out. Next time, just try harder. She secretly made up her mind. No matter how hard you try, it's useless. From behind, a lazy and elegant voice came. Nango Yuna subconsciously looked around and saw that her mother Nango Ryo, who had just gone to dry her clothes, had returned. Unknowingly, she held her fair chin with her hand and looked at her for a long time. He saw his daughter and looked over. Her cold face softened slightly, and in front of Yuna Nango, she walked around behind Nangxiang and hugged him contentedly. Then, in his usual lazy and elegant tone, "The time is mine." It's like a child showing off a rare toy to another child. Nango Yuna didn't say anything, but glanced at her mother with a gritted look, then reached out her hand, opened her piano bag, and flipped through the bass sheet. When she pulled out the bass score, the elegant and lazy high school sophomore girl hurriedly ran away from home. There seemed to be a proud smile on Nangxiang Liang's expressionless face. Then she lowered her head and looked at her husband, whose head was resting on her chest. She gently rubbed the acupuncture points on his head, and a slightly magnetic voice came from Yingfen's lips. "You should really take care of your daughter." "What's wrong?" Nan Xiangxi had his eyes closed at this time, enjoying his wife's service. Soft touch, soft sound, familiar taste. All of this can be said to be very novel to Nan Xiangxi, who has personally experienced the simulation. There are memories of living with Nangxiang Liang all these years in his mind. It was as if they were still entangled with each other last night and refused to separate. Whether it's touch or sound, the fragrance of Nangxiang Ryo seems extremely real. Really. Compared with those dry memories after simulation, this real feeling is better. Nangxiang closed his eyes and enjoyed the cool and tender moment with Nangxiang. "What's wrong, you ask?" Listening to her husband's gentle voice, Nangxiang Liang's pressure on the acupuncture points became slightly heavier. "Do you think it's normal for your daughter to pretend to be your wife?" Nangxiang Liang wrinkled his beautiful eyebrows. She has a nice frown on her eyebrows. The slender eyebrows, the beating eyebrows, and the usually expressionless face seemed to have acute feeling because of this action. Seeing this scene, Nan Xiang subconsciously pressed her lowered head down gently with his hands and kissed her pink lips deeply. Our Nan Xiang Liang was breathless from the kiss, and a beautiful blush like the morning glow in winter appeared on her originally unconcerned face. She glanced around secretly to make sure there was no one around. Only then did she put her hands on Nan Xiangxi's shoulders again, and said in a soft and magnetic voice, "Aren't you afraid of being seen?" I didn't continue to do the next thing. Nangxiangxi leaned on the bench and gently stretched out his hand, wanting to touch Nangxiang Liang's Hong's delicate side face. Nangxiang Ryo obviously realized this. "How old are you now?" She made her own little complaint and shook her head, but in the end she lowered her body and pressed her face against Nan Xiangxi's warm palm. Nan Xiangxi looked at her rosy face and smiled. "I'm not kidding," she. Listening to Nangxiangxi's laughter, Nangxiang Liang emphasized again and again, "You should really take care of your daughter." "I just like my father, it's quite normal." Nangxiangxi actually didn't care that much. Many little girls have had such a complex. It is actually normal to like your father and want to marry him when you grow up. Nangxiang didn't think there was any problem. At most, his daughter's feelings for him are much stronger than those of ordinary little girls. It's not normal for a daughter to be able to write an article like, "I want to marry my father when I grow up," in my second year of high school. Nangxiang Liang took a deep look at her husband, and there was helplessness in his eyes besides endless love and pampering. "I think, you should really educate your daughter properly." Nangxiang Ryo put his head on Nangxiang Shi's shoulder, his tone serious. His daughter is becoming more and more outrageous. Now he is pretending to be her. In the future, he may even do some kind of lawless and overly free things. I really don't know where this character was inherited from. Nan Xiangxi looked at Miss Liang like this and stretched out his hand to gather her short dark blue hair, feeling a little funny. Miss Liang is just as good as ever. Even his own children can get angry with him. He glanced at the time he simulated in person. 1200 heart rate is converted into 12 hours. There's still quite a while left, so it shouldn't delay the business ahead. However, talking to Nango Yuyuna is not in a hurry. He hugged Nan Xiangliang and joked with her again. They were gentle for a while. When the sun gradually began to set, he stood up and said, "I'm going to see Yuyuna." Chapter 158. Be like your father. 4,000 words. In order to take care of the base hobby of his wife and daughter, there is actually a practice room renovated in the backyard of Nangxiang's house. Just take into account the complete sound insulation effect and floor space. The entire practice room looks relatively simple and compact. Push the practice room door open. What comes into view are the various band posters posted by Nango Ryo and Nango Yuyuna due to their interests, as well as the posters from various performance halls left behind by Nango Ryo and the band after they played around over the years. Ticket commemoration. According to memory, the ending band was already a relatively well-known Japanese independent band at this time. Similarly, with the help of Nangxiang Shi, the ending band had reached agreements with several relatively well-known record companies. The band may even perform at the Tokyo Dome in the not-too-distant future. Nango Yuyuna is aiming at Nango Ryo and is practicing the bass hard at this time. Fortunately, Nan Xiangliang was there to help with guidance. In addition, people who finish the band will come over to take a look from time to time. So Nango Yuyuna's progress is actually very rapid. Presumably the other party is still working hard now. Thinking like this, Nangxiang Shi walked inward following his memory. However, before he reached the practice room, probably in the lounge, Nangxiang stopped. Because it is a lounge, we did not consider soundproofing like a practice room. So just standing by the door of the lounge, Nango Shi could hear Nango Yuna's slightly magnetic voice coming from inside. Nangxiang Shi touched his chin. It is very likely that my daughter is communicating with her partner in a rock band. After all, rock music cannot be supported by just one bass, so Yuna Nango naturally needs some playmates. The partners who formed a rock band with her would naturally borrow Nangxiang's practice room for band practice. Renting a practice room outside was too expensive, so it was more convenient to borrow Nangxiang's practice room. I don't know what you are talking about. Nangxiang Shi was quite curious and moved a little closer. After all, she is his daughter. I must have inherited his good and positive genes. At this time, I am also discussing things related to study or base skills. He listened curiously for a while. Then, Kyoze, should you give me the friend fee this month? This was Nango Yuyuna's voice asking for money, cold and without any fluctuation. Hey? But didn't I just give it to Yuna-san last week? This is the soft voice coming from it. Actually, I lost my wallet recently and am a little tight on money. Please, Kyoze, just think of it as lending me money. Hey? But there was some hesitation in the voice. Please, Akiko. The sound of a palm clasping another's. That's okay. Since Yuna-san said so, how much is needed? 10,000, no, 30,000, forget it, it's too much trouble. Kyoze, can you show me your wallet? Ah. Really, I might not be able to live without Kyoze. In fact, I have been living on eating weeds recently, and I have reached my limit. It was still Nango Yuna's request without any emotion. Hey. Is it so serious? Well, this is my wallet, Yunasan. Next, Nangxiang heard the sound of zippers being opened and counting money. Ah, just 50,000 yen, thank you, Akiko, you are really my best friend. No. No, it would be great if I could help Yunasan. He hurriedly denied it, seeming to have a somewhat happy voice. I'll give you the money back next month. This was Nango Yuna's voice as she returned the wallet. Nangxiangshi. Nanxiangshi rubbed his eyebrows and let out a little breath.